Welcome back to TIC Talks. I'm your host, Alyssa Dreiling, and today we're shining a light on an important issue. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, a time to bring attention to the impact of domestic violence, support survivors, and focus on prevention. Joining me is our Domestic Violence Education and Prevention Specialist from the Tucson Indian Center Wellness Department. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, good morning. I'm Tanya Rios. I'm the Domestic Violence Education Prevention Specialist here at the Indian Center. I am Thana Autumn. What I do is support people, individuals that may come in and report that they need, a safe place to go, just some support, just someone to listen to. I will help them in trying to find maybe a shelter to get into. If they want talk with somebody, maybe getting individual therapy lined up for them, whether it be here with the Indian Center or a referral out to one of the other agencies. I also refer them depending on what services that they need at that time. It could be other departments here at the Indian Center to assist them with jobs, food, diapers, just a checkup with the doctor, and then I also do education as well. So just doing presentations with the different groups here, joining in maybe the youth council, the elders monthly luncheons, and going outside of the Indian Center to different programs, organizations, and doing presentations there. A lot of it those presentations are with youth, just trying to educate them in things to watch out for as far as healthy relationships, warning signs, stuff like that. I also am part of other things such as a task forces, coalitions that I've taken on as part of my position here as well. So those committees and task forces are in place to help make changes, laws, policies, procedures, just get our voices heard on making changes to help individuals in this situation.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today and providing all the education and activities and everything you do. So, to start, can you tell our listeners what Domestic Violence Awareness Month is and why it's important?
So, Domestic Violence Awareness Month is observed every October and is to raise awareness about domestic violence, honor survivors, remember those lost to domestic violence, and to highlight the ongoing efforts to end abuse. It's important because it raises awareness of the issue that affects so many individuals and families. It breaks the silence and helps bring the stigma of abuse that is usually hidden behind closed doors to light and bringing it out. It also helps promote advocacy efforts to support victims and drive systematic change to end domestic violence.
Awesome. And just because it is just 1 month, we want to remember everybody throughout the whole year as well who do go through domestic violence and situations like that.
Yes.
So, what are some signs that someone might be in an unhealthy or abusive relationship that others can observe and help?
Okay, so recognizing signs can help protect someone and help them, whether it's physical, emotional, psychological abuse. Abuse isn't always seen. Physical abuse, of course, is the most that people think of when they hear domestic violence is physical abuse. People having bruises, things like that. But there are other signs. There are other abuse types that are involved as well. It's psychological and emotional abuse. It's just constant criticism or put downs by one's partner, meant to degrade them and make them feel, bad about themselves. We also have extreme jealousy or possessiveness. So that would be maybe something that someone just starting out in a relationship, oh well, he really loves me, he's very protective. You might see it in one way, but then it can turn into something that's far more dangerous if it continues. And that extreme jealousy or possessiveness, it could be like your partner accusing you of cheating, being too friendly with others, controlling what you do, where you go. And that goes into play with isolation. Isolation is another sign, controlling who you see, where you go, who you hang out with, who you talk to. And that can even include your own family as well, preventing you from going to family functions, hanging out with your friends, taking away the things that you like to do, hobbies, going to the gym, things like that. Gaslighting is another one. You hear people talk about gaslighting all the time, and I'm not too sure if anybody really knows what gaslighting is, but that's making someone doubt their own memory, feelings, or sanity, making them second guess, their own thoughts, behaviors. Blaming is another one. For abusers, they like to blame their victims for everything that they do, their own behaviors, their own actions. Things like, you made me do this is, common. It's because of you, or because you did this that I had to do this. So those are just different forms of abuse.
Thank you. So a lot of the signs can be, seen physically, but also a lot that are just mentally.
Mm-hmm.
So talking about that and seeing the signs, how can friends or even family members support someone that they suspect are experiencing abuse with their partner?
Well, they can reach out, because a person that's being abused, most of the time, they feel afraid. They feel pretty much ashamed, very ashamed. The fact that they're in this type of situation, relationship, they don't want others to know. They feel embarrassed and afraid to reach out for help. They feel alone as well, because most of the time at that point they're probably been isolated from their own family and friends. So it takes a lot for somebody to come out and ask for help, or to let someone know that they're in an abusive relationship. So just be supportive. Don't judge or blame them. There are many reasons why individuals may not leave an abusive partner, whether it be, they have children with this person.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a job. They're solely dependent on the abuser financially. And that plays a big part as far as abuse as well. And isolation is a partner may prevent, their partner from going out and working, making their own money, so that they have that control over them. It's a control tactic, so that they prevent them from being able to leave them. It's little things like that people don't recognize right away. And people that aren't in that situation, it's hard for them to understand or grasp.
And it's also a very stigmatized topic as well. We don't want to talk about it. What happens behind closed doors stays behind closed doors. But,
Yes.
In situations like this, it's hard to speak up, but you need to.
Yes.
So for friends and family members here that live in Tucson, Arizona, they could come to the Tucson Indian Center and ask for your assistance, right?
Yes.
And then there's also local resources like Emerge as well that they could go to.
Emerge, a couple other places. Sometimes, depending on what tribe you're in, we can get you assistance from your tribe, especially if it's somewhere like needing somewhere safe to go to. You don't have the funds. We can't find you a bed in a shelter, stuff like that. There's other resources that we can try to get for you. We do the best that we can here. Unfortunately, this issue is so big and people aren't aware of it, but shelter space, there is not enough shelter space here in Tucson. And that is very, very frustrating when you're trying to help somebody.
Definitely. And another thing too is, do you notice those who experience domestic violence and are completely isolated, that there are higher risks of suicide as well?
Yes. Because they have no support. They have no support. They feel alone. A lot of that being, all their hobbies, the things they enjoy, the people that are usually there for them are not. So it can, and they may feel helpless, at times, depending on how bad the situation is. They don't see a way out sometimes. And it's either, unfortunately, suicide, or it's either, the abuser just getting so abusive that, they take
over.
They take the life of their partner, which happens a lot, unfortunately.
Definitely. So why is it important to focus not just on responding to domestic violence, but also the prevention aspect, to preventing a domestic violence situation happening, especially with our youth?
So for domestic violence, it's very, very, the rates for Native American communities, indigenous people, the rates are much higher than any other minorities. And a lot of that comes because, alcohol use, drug use, poverty on reservations, even going back to the generational, trauma, all that comes into play. And so a lot of abusers, it's a taught behavior. It's something that they've learned growing up, maybe in an abusive home, them seeing it and then them not knowing that it's something bad. They see it as something normal, and they don't know any different. And so they were brought up seeing that type of abuse, and so they continue that. It's a cycle. And so that's why I try to emphasize when I do presentations or anything with the youth, to educate them and let them know, what is a healthy relationship? What should somebody strive for? What are the things that you deserve? How should you be treated? And then the things to watch out for, such as like the jealousy. They're starting to date, so like middle school to high school kids, they're starting to date. They're starting to get into relationships, and for a lot of young people, that very first relationship, it's like they think that's going to be their partner for forever, for life. Right. And it can be so heartbreaking when that relationship doesn't work out. It takes a toll on them mentally. They're so young that they think it's the end of the world.
Definitely.
And so I want to teach them to know the warning signs, what to look out for, and that, to prevent that. If they see these warning signs coming, or that they're dealing with, maybe I should ask for help. Maybe I should get out of this relationship. And that it's okay to leave that relationship, because, like I said, it's their very first relationship, and they, at that young of an age, they think they're in love, and it can be very heartbreaking, for
Definitely.
young people to have breakups.
Yeah.
So just trying to talk to them about, you have your whole lives ahead of you, whole lives, like you'll have plenty of more relationships, it's in your life. So just be careful. I also focus on consent.
Yes.
That comes along with sexual assault, because they need to know that they have the right to say what happens to their body. And going over that is a little, touchy for them. They're embarrassed to talk about that stuff, but I try to make it as comfortable as possible, talking with them and letting them know, that it's fine to say no. If your partner is pushing you to do something that you don't want to do, like sexually, it's okay to say no.
Right.
And it's not right for your partner to keep pushing that on you or make you do something, because that is not okay.
Yes.
And I talk to them about that, and it can get a little, like, they get all like quiet and look down and get squirmish. Like, I can tell they're uncomfortable, but little do they know I'm more uncomfortable talking to them about it than they are having to listen to me talk about it. But I just want them to know what to look out for. I also let them know, when they go out to, like, maybe hanging out with friends, if there's going to be, opposite sex, hanging out there, if it's a group of them from school and stuff, hanging out, having pizza, watching movies, whatever, to please watch out for each other. Watch out for your drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Don't leave your drinks behind. If you leave it behind, get a new drink. Throw it, because unfortunately there are things that can happen to your drink. We have a lot of things that can lead to bad situations.
For sure.
And I just try to teach them to be smart.
Definitely.
So,
and it's nice to start young, because all those also happen as a young adult and an adult and even as an elder. Thank you so much for providing those teachings to our youth and to everybody else out there, and providing a voice to those who think they don't have one. So with that, what's one message you'd like our listeners to take with them during Domestic Violence Awareness Month here in October?
So I would just, it's very short and brief, to the point. Don't be judgmental. Do not be judgmental. Be supportive. Let the person make their own choices, their own decisions, but let them know that you, despite whatever they decide to do, you're there for them. You're there for them, to support them.
Give them a support system.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tanya, for joining us today and for all the important work you do here at the Tucson Indian Center. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in to TIC Talks. Remember, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Let's stand together, spread awareness, and support survivors in our community. Until next time, take care of yourselves and one another.